Warning! It sucks I have to say this, but nothing in this article should be taken as absolute truth or professional medical advice. People should do their own research before taking any advice, before doing any protocol, even advice and protocols from an MD. Again, do your own research and reach your own conclusions, since your truth is always true for you until it is not. The Borax Conspiracy by Walter Last. How the arthritis cure has been stopped. You may not be able to imagine that borax, this humble insecticide and laundry detergent, has the potential of single-handedly bringing down our entire economic system. But you do not need to worry. The danger has been recognized, and the necessary steps are already being taken to defuse the situation. I will start with the basics, and you will understand what I mean as the story unfolds. Borax is a naturally occurring and mined mineral salt and the source of other manufactured boron compounds. The main deposits are in Turkey and California. Chemical names are sodium tetraborate decahydrate, disodium tetraborate decahydrate, or simply sodium borate. This means it contains 4 atoms of boron as its central feature, combined with 2 sodium atoms and 10 molecules, or sometimes less, of crystallization water. Therefore, borax is the sodium salt of the weak boric acid. Because sodium is more strongly alkaline, this makes a solution of borax strongly alkaline with a pH between 9 and 10. pH 7 is neutral. When ingested, it reacts with hydrochloric acid in the stomach to form boric acid and sodium chloride. The boron content of borax is 11.3%, while for boric acid it is 17.5%, or about 50% higher. Ingested boron compounds are rapidly and nearly completely excreted with the urine. Formerly, boric acid was widely used as a preservative in foods, but is now banned for this purpose in most countries and is also banned from public sale in Australia. According to conventional medicine, it is not known if boron is essential for humans, but research shows that we do need it. The reason why it was difficult to answer this question is the presence of boron in all plants and unprocessed foods. Diets with a fair amount of fruit and vegetables provide about 2 to 5 milligrams of boron per day, but this also depends on the region where the food was grown and how it was grown. In reality, the average intake in developed countries is 1 to 2 milligrams of boron per day. Institutionalized patients may receive only 0.25 milligrams of daily boron. Chemical fertilizers inhibit the uptake of boron from the soil. An organic apple grown in good soil may have 20 milligrams of boron, but if grown with fertilizer, it may only have 1 milligram of boron. Fertilizers combined with poor food choices have greatly reduced our boron intake compared to 50 or 100 years ago. Further, unhealthy cooking methods greatly reduce the availability of boron from food. The cooking water of vegetables containing most of the minerals may be discarded during home cooking or commercial processing. Phytic acid in baked goods, cereals, and cooked legumes may greatly reduce availability, while gluten sensitivity and candida overgrowth inhibit the absorption of minerals. All this makes health problems due to boron deficiency now very common. Health effects of boron. Due to their content of boron, borax and boric acid have basically the same health effects, with good antiseptic, antifungal, and antiviral properties, but only mild antibacterial action. In plants as well as animals, boron is essential for the integrity and function of cell walls and the way signals are transmitted across membranes. Boron is distributed throughout the body with the highest concentration in the parathyroid glands, followed by bones and dental enamel. It is essential for healthy bone and joint function, regulating the absorption and metabolism of calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus through its influence on the parathyroid glands. With this, boron is for the parathyroids what iodine is for the thyroid. Boron deficiency causes the parathyroids to become overactive, releasing too much parathyroid hormone, which raises the blood level of calcium by releasing calcium from bones and teeth. This then leads to osteoarthritis and other forms of arthritis, osteoporosis, and tooth decay. With advancing age, high blood levels of calcium lead to calcification of soft tissues, causing muscle contractions and stiffness, calcification of endocrine glands, especially the pineal gland and the ovaries, arteriosclerosis, kidney stones, and calcification of the kidneys, ultimately leading to kidney failure. Boron deficiency combined with magnesium deficiency is especially damaging to the bones and teeth. Boron affects the metabolism of steroid hormones and especially of sex hormones. It increases low testosterone levels in men and estrogen levels in menopausal women. It also has a role in converting vitamin D to its active form, thus increasing calcium uptake and deposition into bones and teeth rather than causing soft tissue to calcify. Also, other beneficial effects have been reported, such as improvement of heart problems, vision, psoriasis, balance, memory, and cognition. The German cancer researcher, Dr. Paul Gerhard Seeger, has shown that cancer commonly starts with the deterioration of cell membranes. As boron is essential for cell membranes and boron deficiency widespread, this may be an important cause for the initiation of tumor growth. Boron compounds have anti-tumor properties and are potent anti-osteoporotic, anti-inflammatory, hyperpolipemic, anticoagulant, and anti-neoplastic agents. This overview shows the wide-ranging influence of boron on our health. In the following, I want to describe some of these health effects in greater detail. The arthritis cure of Rex Newnham. In the 1960s, Rex Newnham, Ph.D., D.O., N.D., developed arthritis. At that time, he was a soil and plant scientist in Perth, Western Australia. Conventional drugs did not help, so he looked for the cause into the chemistry of plants. He realized that plants in that area were rather mineral deficient. Knowing that boron aids calcium metabolism in plants, he decided to try it. He started taking 30 milligrams of borax per day, and in 3 weeks, all pain, swelling, and stiffness had disappeared. He told public health and medical school authorities about his discovery, but they were not interested. However, some people with arthritis were delighted as they improved. Others were scared to take something with a poison label on the container and meant to kill cockroaches and ants. Eventually, he had tablets made with a safe and effective quantity of borax. Within 5 years, and only by word of mouth, he sold 10,000 bottles a month. He could no longer cope and asked a drug company to market it. That was a major mistake. They indicated that this would replace more expensive drugs and reduce their profits. It so happened that they had representatives on government health committees and arranged that in 1981, Australia instituted a regulation that declared boron and its compounds to be poisons in any concentration. He was fined $1,000 for selling a poison, and this successfully stopped his arthritis cure from spreading in Australia. Subsequently, he published several scientific papers on borax and arthritis. One was a double-blind trial in the mid-1980s at the Royal Melbourne Hospital, which showed that 70% of those who completed the trial were greatly improved. Only 12% improved when on placebo. There were no negative side effects, but some reported that their heart ailment had also improved, and there was better general health and less tiredness. Most of his later research was devoted to the relationship between soil boron levels and arthritis. He found, for instance, that the traditional sugarcane islands, due to long-term heavy use of fertilizers, have very low soil boron levels. Jamaica has the lowest level, and arthritis rates are about 70%. He noted that even most dogs were limping. Next comes Mauritius, with very low boron levels and 50% arthritis. The daily boron intake in these countries is less than 1 milligram per day. An interesting comparison is between Indian and native Fijians. The Indians are estimated to have an arthritis rate of about 40% and eat much rice grown with fertilizer, while the native Fijians, with an estimated arthritis rate of 10%, eat mainly starchy root vegetables grown privately without fertilizer. The US, England, Australia, and New Zealand generally have average soil boron levels, with an estimated intake of 1 to 2 milligrams of boron and arthritis rates of about 20%. But Carnarvon in Western Australia has high boron levels in soil and water, and the arthritis rate is only 1%. It is similar in a place called Ngawa Springs in New Zealand, with very high boron levels in the spa water, which is curative for arthritis. Actually, all spas reputedly curing arthritis have very high boron levels. These are also high in Israel, with an estimated daily boron intake of 5 to 8 milligrams and only 0.5 to 1% arthritis. Bone analysis showed that arthritic joints and nearby bones had only half the boron content of healthy joints. Equally, synovial fluid that lubricates joints and provides nutrients to the cartilage is boron deficient in arthritic joints. After boron supplementation, bones were much harder than normal, and surgeons found them more difficult to saw through. With additional boron, bone fractures heal in about half the normal time in both man and animal. Horses and dogs with broken legs, or even a broken pelvis, have fully recovered. Borax is also effective with other forms of arthritis, such as rheumatoid arthritis, juvenile arthritis, and lupus, systemic lupus erythematosus. For instance, Dr. Noonan saw a young girl aged 9 months with juvenile arthritis. He was able to cure her in 2 weeks. He wrote that commonly people can get rid of their pain, swelling, and stiffness in about 1 to 3 months. Then they can reduce treatment from 3 to 1 boron tablets, each 3 milligrams per day, as a maintenance dose, so that they can avoid any future arthritis. He also stated that patients with rheumatoid arthritis commonly experienced a Herxheimer reaction, and that this is always a good prognostic sign. They must persevere, and in another 2 or 3 weeks, the pain, swelling, and stiffness will be gone. I found this statement not only interesting, but also surprising. The Herxheimer reaction is an early aggravation of symptoms with increased pain. It is commonly due to toxins released by killed candida and mycoplasma. This is very common with antimicrobial therapy, and borax definitely is an exceptionally good and strong fungicide. What surprises me, however, is that this fungicidal effect is already present at this rather low dose of 75 to 90 milligrams of borax. Equally surprising is the finding that also up to 30% of those with osteoarthritis experienced a Herxheimer reaction, suggesting that the border between osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis is rather fluid. I believe that in long-standing and especially resistant cases, it will be advisable to use other antimicrobials in addition. Osteoporosis and sex hormones. Boron deficiency causes greatly increased amounts of calcium and magnesium to be lost with the urine. A borax supplement will reduce the daily loss of calcium by nearly 50%. As this calcium comes mainly from resorbed bone and teeth, boron deficiency may be the most important factor in causing osteoporosis and tooth decay. It has been estimated that 55% of Americans over 50 have osteoporosis, and of these, about 80% are women. Worldwide, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 12 men over the age of 50 may have osteoporosis, and this is responsible for millions of fractures each year. Rats with osteoporosis were given a boron supplement for 30 days, with the result that their bone quality was now comparable with that of the healthy control group and of a group supplemented with estradiol. The beneficial effect of borax on bones seems to be due to 2 interrelated effects: a higher boron content of the bones, which makes them harder, and a normalization of sex hormones, which stimulates the growth of new bone. Low estrogen levels after menopause are thought to be the main reason why so many older women develop osteoporosis. In men, testosterone levels decline more gradually, which seems to be reflected in their later onset of osteoporosis as a group. Research has now shown that boron supplementation in postmenopausal women doubles the blood level of the most active form of estrogen, 17-beta estradiol, to the level found in women on estrogen replacement therapy. Equally, the blood levels of testosterone more than doubled. With HRT, there is a higher risk of breast or endometrial cancer, which is not known to happen with hormones produced by the body, as with borax supplementation. Some women get premenstrual problems because estrogen levels are too high and progesterone too low, and therefore may be afraid of using boron. However, I found no evidence that boron raises estrogen above normal healthy levels. Boron may balance levels of sex hormones similar to the action of maca root powder. Maca acts on the pituitary gland not only to increase, but also to balance our sex hormones, and seems to stimulate our own progesterone production as needed. A recent study in younger men, 29 to 50, showed that the level of free testosterone, the form that matters most, had risen by 1/3 after a daily supplementation of about 100 milligrams of borax for 1 week. This is of special interest for bodybuilders. Contrary to the medical preference of chemically castrating men with prostate cancer, research with boron has shown that elevated testosterone levels are beneficial by shrinking prostate tumors and PSA levels, PSA being a marker for tumors and inflammation in the prostate. Also, significantly improved memory and cognition in elderly individuals may be partly due to increased levels of sex hormones and partly to improved membrane functions of brain cells. I have been asked about boron supplementation for women with estrogen-sensitive breast cancer. Breast cancer is related to calcifications in the breast. In my opinion, it is more important to normalize the calcium-magnesium metabolism and cellular membrane functions rather than feel restricted by a possibly faulty medical concept, especially as I believe that cancer can usually be controlled with long-term antimicrobial therapy. Therefore, I would use boron as well as maca in this case. Fungi and fluoride. Being such an excellent fungicide, it is not surprising that borax is being successfully used to treat candida. There is much interesting information on an Earth Clinic forum called Borax Cures. With low to medium weight people, use 1/8 teaspoon of borax powder, and with heavier weight, 1/4 teaspoon per liter of water. One drinks the water spaced out during the day and does this for 4 or 5 days a week, as long as required. Many contributors wrote that it cured or greatly helped them. So for instance, this post, "I also have psoriasis, so maybe the soreness in my joints is the psoriatic arthritis creeping in. I thought, after reading about borax here on this forum, I would give it a try. Oh my God! In one day the soreness in my knees has vanished. Also, my psoriasis seems a lot better. After 2 days drinking 1/4 teaspoon borax in 1 liter of water per day." Another one about toe fungus. He wet his feet and then took a handful of borax and rubbed it all over his feet. He said it stopped itching immediately. He was stunned. A few weeks later, I asked him how his athlete's foot was, and he said, "Oh wow, it hasn't come back. That stuff totally cured it." Other enthusiastic posts were about vaginal thrush. Borax appeared to be more effective than other remedies. Commonly, 1 large gelatin capsule filled with borax or boric acid was inserted at bedtime for several nights or up to 2 weeks. Alternatively, the powder can be mixed with cool, solidified coconut oil as a bolus or suppository. A recent scientific study confirms these positive observations with vaginal thrush. Boric acid at the dose of a filled capsule worked even in cases of drug-resistant candida and against all the tested pathogenic bacteria. Because of the greater dilution, a douche may not be strong enough for bacteria and drug-resistant candida, but it should work for normal candida. Borax, due to its alkalinity, was more effective than boric acid. In normal healthy conditions, candida exists as harmless oval yeast cells. When challenged, chains of elongated cells called pseudohyphae develop. And finally, strongly invasive, long, narrow, and tube-like filaments called hyphae. These damage the intestinal wall and cause inflammation and leaky gut syndrome. Pseudohyphae and hyphae can be seen in the blood of individuals with cancer and autoimmune diseases. Candida can also form tough layers of biofilm. This same study shows that boric acid, or borax, inhibits the formation of biofilms and also the transformation of harmless yeast cells into invasive hyphal form. In other articles, I have shown that this process, commonly initiated by antibiotics, is a basic cause of most of our modern diseases, and this makes borax and boric acid primary health remedies. But this article shows that there are many more reasons to give them a top rating. A scientific review in 2011 concluded, boric acid is a safe, alternative, economic option for women with recurrent and chronic symptoms of vaginitis when conventional treatment fails. But as it is so much better than drugs, why not use it as a first option, or use the even more effective borax? Another study from Turkey shows the protective effect of boric acid on food contaminated with mycotoxins, especially fungal aflatoxins. Among these, aflatoxin B1 causes extensive DNA damage and is the most potent carcinogen ever tested, especially affecting liver and lungs, also causing birth defects, immunotoxicity, and even death in farm animals and humans. Boric acid treatment was protective and led to increased resistance of DNA to oxidative damage caused by AFB1. The strong antifungal action of boric acid is, of course, the reason why it has traditionally been used as a food preservative. Borax, similar to the equally endangered Lugol's iodine solution, can also be used to remove accumulated fluoride and heavy metals from the body. Fluoride not only causes bones to deteriorate, but also the pineal gland to calcify and the thyroid to become underactive. Borax reacts with fluoride ions to form boron fluorides, which are then excreted in the urine. In a Chinese study, borax was used to treat 31 patients with skeletal fluorosis. The amount was gradually increased from 300 to 1100 milligrams per day during a 3-month period, with 1 week off per month. The treatment was effective, with 50 to 80% improvement. One forum contributor suffered with fibromyalgia, rosacea, chronic fatigue, and TMJ for over 10 years, which she believed were caused by fluoride. She used 1/8 teaspoon of borax and 1/8 teaspoon of sea salt in a liter of dechlorinated water and drank this for 5 days each week. Within 2 weeks, her face cleared, the redness faded, body temperature normalized, energy level increased, and she steadily lost excess weight. The only side effect was an initial aggravation of her rosacea symptoms. Another post. 7 years ago, thyroid cancer. The next year, adrenal fatigue. Then early menopause. The following year, uterine prolapse, followed by hysterectomy. The following year, fibromyalgia and neuropathy. Early childhood was fluoridated water, along with fluoride tablets. Fall of 2008, I was looking at total disability. I could barely walk and couldn't sleep because of the pain and was throwing up daily from the pain in my back. After reading about fluoride, I came to understand where all my problems originated. I began the borax detox of 1/8 teaspoon in a liter of water, and within 3 days, my symptoms were almost gone.